put in re-education camps. It's on the featured news area. Whether underground terrorists plan to eliminate 25 million U.S. citizens in re-education camps. Okay, and this all came out in federal court. This was admitted. He was part of the Central Committee and would go give the orders to the operatives on the ground by the Ford Foundation-funded banker terrorist. Here is the beginning of that video with Larry Grafwall. Here it is.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. You know, we become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of.
I first saw this video when locals were airing it in the mid-90s on Access. And I would have arguments with Kelly and others, he didn't want his last name said, and I would say, they're never going to bring foreign troops here, we'd fight them. And he said, you don't understand, they're slowly training different groups of military to do this. Here are the documents, and now it's all out in the open. I mean, all these foreign troops they plan to use in different sectors. They select out the small portion of U.S. troops that'll do this, the small portion of police that'll do this, put them in special units under FEMA. That's now all announced. Let me give you the document. Con Plan 3502, Master Pentagon Blueprint, RNC G20 lockdowns. Just look it up. People put stuff on servers and don't know they're making them public. And the government confirms that that's real. And this new one was classified, but they've now declassified it. So that's Con Plan 3502. We're going to come back and play the clip in its entirety. I just wanted to stop, and you're hearing this. And notice when they take over, they say they're not worried about the economy. No, they want starvation and things to break down. Lenin, 30+ million. Stalin, they debate 25 to 35 million. Poland, Ukraine, Russia, and they just turn everything off. They just take over, hoard everything, sit there in armored fortresses while everybody starves to death and fights, sending out men in tanks and armored vehicles to just grab people randomly. Lenin's memos even say that. Just randomly grab people. Rape their wives in front of them. Blow their kids' heads off. More terror. It's called Red Terror. This is banker terror. New World Order terror. And they've got their spies and their people everywhere and perverts and sickos who can't wait to rape your wife and rape your children. We'll be right back. Charlie Daniels is coming up. And he's speaking out about the globalist takeover of America.
Personal Jesus.
Okay, let's go ahead and get back to this. Obama mentor wanted Americans put in re-education camps, whether underground terrorists planned to eliminate, that's kill 25 million U.S. citizens. Let's start that over in re-education camps. And then now we have this 300+ page document. In fact, here it is, FM 3-39.40, internment resettlement operations, overseas and domestically, February 2010, political dissidents for their views in the camps, being re-educated in political re-education camps. They even call it re-education camps. I mean, this is directly out of North Korea. Okay? Get the article at Infowars.com. In fact, I'm going to Twitter it out during the next break. In fact, let's remind me of Twitter that Charlie's about to be on. In fact, I'll be talking to him during the break, so will one of you guys do that for me? Just ask Kurt to Twitter it out, saying, hey, Charlie Daniels is coming up. Thank you, at Real Alex Jones. Let's go ahead and go to this clip, because you should know this is what they have planned. And this is the mentor of Obama, and this is the head general there in their communist Politburo here in the U.S. He's the man who would go out and give the orders to the rest of the people. This was the plan. He's in the meetings. Here it is.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. We become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking.
Hit pause.
And teach them.
Back it up 10 seconds. We can hear that again. And then what did Rex 84, years after this film came out, and it came out in court, under the Reagan administration, of course, Reagan didn't know what was going on, but during his administration, the government had this for illegals, communists, and others. So how do you sell the conservatives? You tell them it's for the communist, but it's really the globalist plan. The globalist poses communist, as fascist, as Muslim extremist, but it's always the globalist. It's just different tools they're using. Let's continue where they talk about the extermination in the camps. Here we go.
Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I ask, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill. 25 million people. I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.
That's from 1982. Larry Grathwohl, who later became an informant. But this all came out in court. They admitted their plan to do this. And again, people accuse us of having headlines that are too hardcore. I called Paul up this morning, does a great job, and I said, I want you to change your headline from incarcerate 25 million Americans to eliminate. So we changed it to eliminate, and then I was watching it again. He says kill, because some people are already arguing what eliminate means. So I'm going to call Watson during the break and go, I'm sorry, even when I was trying to be more hardcore to show the reality, I couldn't deal with this mentally. So I whitewashed it in my mind to eliminate. He says kill. So we'll change that word in the headline to kill, or I'm guilty of whitewashing. And again, people didn't believe the communists would do what they did in Russia or China or any of these places, Latin America. Communists have killed, conservatively, you could debate the numbers, it's over 150 million. I mean, it is incredible. And they do this. They come in and they do it and they mean it, and that's what Agenda 21 is. That's what they're doing. And it's up to you to get these articles and videos at Infowars.com and get them out.
We're on the march.
Dare, I'll make a bet with
Oh,
you.
man, it is hard to turn that off. That is one of my favorite songs in country, western, folk, you name it, and my children love it. We routinely listen to it when we're cooking breakfast in the morning, part of the greatest hits with Johnny Cash and people like that in the background. But this is the first time I've ever talked to him, and I'm almost tongue-tied. Charlie Daniels, he needs no introduction. But the best part is he's always loved America. He's always defended the Bill of Rights and Constitution, including the Second Amendment. And now he's really coming out against the globalists, the New World Order, Agenda 21. And I was just talking to him the last 2 or 3 minutes before we went live here. Charlie Daniels of CharlieDaniels.com. He's on tour nationwide right now, but he told me he's not here to talk about that. He's here to talk about Agenda 21 and a new documentary that he's voiced called Behold a Pale Horse on the Second Amendment and more. Mr. Daniels, great to have you here with us.
Thank you very much, and it's good to be with you. And that's, everybody needs to be talking about Agenda 21. This is another one. One of the things that really scared me, and should scare everybody, is the way this health care bill got pushed through. Is you could wake up one morning, and after a midnight session of Congress, there could be, no telling what could be done. And this Agenda 21 is an evil, diabolical thing. It is global in scope, and everybody needs to know about it. I think people know about it. We've been armed about it.
Well, you write about it at charliedaniels.com. Tell us about your political awakening that's, I guess, decades old, but currently what you're most focused on. And let's talk about Agenda 21 and why people should be concerned about it.
Well, let me just read a little thing here from Agenda 21. The American system of justice must be changed to conform to the rest of the world, and there must be a shift in attitudes. Individual wants, needs, and desires are be conformed to the views and the dictates of government planners in the process of implementing sustainable development. Individual rights will have to take a back seat to the collective. That's for starters. That if that shocks anybody, then you should dig a little deeper into this thing. And just go look it up. Don't take my word for it. Just go look it up. It's the information, they've been pretty bold about it, I will say that. And information is readily available on the Internet. This is a thing that, it goes on into no individual ownership of property. I heard a thing the other day. I raise farm animals. I raise cows and horses, and there was a bill that passed. I didn't know it passed at the time, but it was called the Food Protection Act. That might not have been the exact.
Yeah, the Food Safety Act. Food Safety Act.
Safety Act, right? And I called our two senators. It was in the Senate at the time, and I called Senator Lamar Alexander's office, and I called Senator Corker's office. And I said, I asked it. Of course, I didn't talk to either one of them, but I talked to their aides. And I asked a guy, it had already, I didn't know, I thought it was on the floor. It had passed. Senator Alexander had voted for it. I called Senator Corker's, and I asked the guy, I said, what about the small farm? Oh, Senator Alexander would never do anything to hurt farmers. Called Senator Corker's office. Well, Senator Corker voted against it. Now, what's the deal here? If it's good for the state of Tennessee, why would one senator vote for it and one vote against it? The thing about it to me is this, and what people don't realize that has to be brought home to people. You say, okay, if things go south, I got an acre of ground, I go ahead and plant a garden. I'll get me a cow, a couple of pigs, some chickens. No, you won't, because under the Food Protection Act, they could come in and say, you can't grow anything because you're spreading bad stuff into the food supply. I saw a thing the other day about mad cow disease out in California. It come in, okay, you're endangering the health of all the animals in the country by your animals, so you can't grow your animals anymore. That sounds very, very far-fetched, but that is the scope of Agenda 21. Agenda 21 wants to reduce the population of the planet Earth by I'm afraid to even say it because it really makes me sound crazy, but some tremendous event. Earth is God to these people, and we're mistreating the earth, us evil human beings. The Bible says God gave, He gave this earth to man
dominion
to subdue, and the animals on it, and everything on it. And earth is not God. I love the earth. I'm a very